So these are the test corrections for Chapter 1. You took this back in August 28th, 2015. Brooklyn drew angle DBM on the coordinate plane. Use the graph for questions 1A, 1B, and 1C. So you're going to have to use that graph for multiple ones. Determine the distance between points B and M. So the hard part about this problem is that, if you guys remember, the graph was counting by what? It's counting by 2's. You'll recognize that because you see the numbers 4, 8, 12, and 16. The reason why it's not counting by 4's is if you go up 1, that's 2, then 4, then 6, then 8. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get the coordinates for B. Coordinates for B would be right 6, up 2. Right 6, up 2. The coordinates for M, here you're going to have to go in between. Do you see how when you go up to M, it's between these two lines? So it's between 8 and 10, which is what number class? 9. So right 9, up 11. So if you couldn't get the coordinates right, then therefore everything in your distance formula would be wrong. So you label your coordinates x1, y1, x2, y2. You put it here into the distance formula. Remember, in the distance formula, the most common mistake was with the subtraction sign in red. Okay? So when you substitute in your values, x1 is 6, x2 is 9, y1 is 2, and your y2 value here is 11. If you subtract 6 minus 9, you get negative 3. And remember, negative 3 squared is not positive 6. You're multiplying it by itself twice. So negative 3 times negative 3 gives you positive 9. Class, what's negative 9 squared? 81. 9 plus 81 is square root of 90. Now back at this free response test, if you can look over here to the right, I gave you guys only 3 points if you left it square root of 90. Now this is where they might confuse you or trick you on the multiple choice. They might actually have square root of 90, and they might also have the 3 radical 10. Okay, class, which one is the most accurate one? 3 radical 10. You can't leave it square root of 90. On this test, I gave you 2 points out of 4 if you had the formula, but your order pairs were incorrect or your substitution was incorrect. Okay. Now, here is a faster way of doing the problem now. It's a different way. Although it tells you to find the distance between the 2 points, you don't have to use a distance formula. You can also use the what? You can also use the Pythagorean Theorem. So how do you get a triangle out of B and M? Well, if you count here, it's a little bit difficult to count. Let's see if I can get this. Failed. You can count from here, making a little triangle. That's 2, and then this would be 3. So a little triangle leg here would be 3. And if you count it up, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 would be the other leg. So that would be 3 squared and 9 squared.
Wait, is that the different way of finding it?
It's a different way of finding it. And you can get 9 plus 81. If you recognize, that's actually the same 2 numbers. Do you guys see that? So the distance formula is derived from the Pythagorean Theorem, and you would still simplify the same way. So again, it's just making a right triangle out of this. If it's too fast for you, you can also, I'll be uploading this video so you can watch again. Question... Question 1b. Using the graph above, translate the line segment DB down 7 units. Label D prime B prime, and describe how the translation changes the coordinates of the endpoints. So I gave you 2 points for just graphing it. So you're just going to take this and go 7 units down. If you count 7 units down, remember it's counting by 2. So this would be a 1. That would be 2, so 1 plus 2 is 3, 5, and that would be 7. Here you would go 2, 4, 6, and that would be 7. And then I gave you another point for just labeling it D prime, B prime. And then with these coordinates, you should have gotten 3, 5, and b prime should have gone 6, negative 5. Now, if you have these order pairs here, it says describe how the translation changes the coordinates of the endpoints. So one thing that you can do is recognize that if you had these coordinates, if you wrote down the original coordinates, and then after you translate it 7 units, you'll recognize that, do the x coordinates change, class?
Yeah. No. Wait, no.
Do the y coordinates change?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. X coordinates change?
No.
Y coordinates change. So a vertical translation changes the y coordinates, but not the x coordinates. Okay? Question 1c. Using the graph above, find the midpoint of segment BM. So the key word here is midpoint, so you should be using the midpoint formula. To use the midpoint formula, you'll have your 2 order pairs. It says B and M. Notice how it doesn't say prime there. So you'll get the order pairs 6, 2, and 9, 11. The midpoint formula, if you don't have that, you can write it down. M for midpoint equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2 over x1 plus y2 divided by 2. You'll just do your substitutions there. On this test, if you had the formula, I gave you 2 points. If you did a substitution correctly, I gave you 3. If you made a simplifying error, that means you got 3 out of 4. So here, the common mistake is you think this is closely associated with the distance formula, but you're not subtracting your x values here, you're adding your values. 6 plus 9 is 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. 2 plus 11 is 13, and 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. Question number 2 on the back side. Again, if this is too fast, you can go home, you can pause the video, rewatch it. Question number 2 says complete each missing box. Now, you won't have something like this on the final. This was just to help you recognize that there's a vocabulary word that's associated with a picture, and from the picture, you should have a symbols. So we talked about how you have a point here. This is called point B. If you on number 3 is called the line segment, you should have 2 endpoints here. There's no arrows. And notice that was a common mistake on your labeling, that there's no points at the end. Question number 4, this is a plane. You can call this plane ABC, or when it has the cursive letter in the corner, that's another way of calling it. In this case, we can call it plane P. Question number 5, with this notation here, this is called the line. This is called line AB, and you'll know that because it has the arrowheads. Notice how you don't have any points on it. So this is called line AB. Remember, that can be read both ways, right? Line AB and line BA are the same. Question number 6. This said collinear points, so I made up 3 points that are on a line. Question number 7 is called angle ABC. So you just have your vertex is B there, and ray XY, start at X, go through Y. I'm going to go a little bit faster because I'm running out of time. Question number 9, plane Y and plane X. So this is Y and this is X. They do not intersect at CD. That's why it's false. They intersect at line AB. Question number 10, E, A, and D. They say they're collinear. That's actually false because they're not on the same line, right? They don't make a straight line. Question number 11, plane Y intersects line F. So all the way down here, this is F. At point G, that is correct. That's where they touch. And question number 12, what is the intersection of line AB and lines DE? That is point D. Put this in the copier. So on this problem, it says name the figure that is constructed. Okay, so I started you off with the line and you saw this arc here. Use a compass and straight edge to finish the construction. So you're actually not going to have to construct anything, but the multiple choice questions they may ask you is what is the next step. So at this point, if you put your sharp end here and you draw your arc, you draw your other sharp end here and draw an arc. You'll notice X marks the spot. So you'll just draw a ruler between point A and through where X marks the spot, and you've drawn a perpendicular line through a point that is not on the line. Question number 14. They give you the given, they give you this angle, and they give you an arc here. So if you take your compass and put the straight edge here, and just open it up, put some mark here, don't open or close it, put your sharp end here, draw the same mark, X marks the spot, and you can draw the line through it. You have two congruent angles here. This is called an angle bisector, or to bisect an angle. Question number 15, multiple choice in construction. This would be a type of question you might see on your final. Which construction is shown below in the diagram? That's actually the same, very similar to the one we just did above. This is called a perpendicular bisector of AB. You'll just draw an arc here. You'll do a point here, point here. You'll make a semicircle. In this case, they didn't draw the whole line. Put your sharp end over here and draw another semicircle. X marks the spot, draw your line. Next page. Ooh, that looks weird. Let's see. Essentially, you have the midpoint formula here. My scan didn't pick up. And basically, this problem is a little bit different because if you draw a little diagram, they give you M is the midpoint. So they've already told you that. They give you the coordinates for Q, and you have to find the coordinates for R. So you'll substitute in your values for Q, that's -4, which is right here, my x2 value, and your y2 value, which is 3 here. So we're missing the other coordinates for the x and y coordinates for R. So how do you solve for that? Well, you just substitute in your m value, which is 1, will equal to this here, and this side will be equal to -2 because these are your y values. To solve for the y1 there, you just multiply both sides by 2. You'll get -4 here. These will cancel. You're left with y1 plus 3, so subtract 3 from both sides. y1 is -7. Over here, same thing, multiply both sides by 2, and then add 4. You'll get your x1 value to be 6. So the other endpoint would be 6, -7. I made that question extra credit. I asked you guys what is our high school, school-wide expectations, and that was just 1 point apiece for Pride. And those were the test corrections for Chapter 1.